To quickly get started using Zeus for astrocartography, first go to Configurations and check off ACG. This is automatically set up for astrocartography and will make everything easy for you. Your layout and other tables that you have on your screen may look different from mine, but in another video I will have a more in-depth walkthrough on customization. But in this case, it should all be fine. It doesn't matter what you may see here. Everything I'm going to explain will still apply. So you're in the ACG configuration, and we see our first dial, radix, represented in the chart here that's based off of the here and now in Moscow. So to add your own natal chart, click on the drop-down for 1 and go to New. Here, add in the birth information. I'm just going to use sample information and call it someone, and using the day first and then the month for the birth information. So I'll just do, for example, the 13th of November 1985 and keep 8:50 p.m. And I'll put the location of birth as Chicago. And if the location you have in mind does not pre-populate, it's not in this drop-down, you can still type it, but you need to then manually add the coordinates for it. So if you want to save this natal chart, click the Save button. This will be saved to your database. And then hit Create. And now we have our natal chart. So then to go to the map, navigate to Scene, Geomap, or you can click on the Geomap icon. And here we are at our Astro map. We see the planetary lines, the natal chart on the bottom left, and the Relocated on the top left. When you first get here, it's your first time using Zeus, first time on the map, you'll probably have a pop-up that will give you some shortcuts and hotkeys on how to move around. If you ever forget and you want to see that again, just right-click the map, and at the very bottom, a hint on hidden functions will bring that back up. So to move around on the map, simply click and drag to wherever you want to go. If you want to zoom in or out, you can use the wheel of your mouse, or on a trackpad, using a couple fingers, move up and down to zoom in and out. You can also hold down Command on Mac and click and drag over an area you want to zoom in on. And then to go back out, right-click, go to Large Scale to go back to the whole world view. To measure distances from lines, hold down Shift and click and drag to the line, and you'll see miles and kilometers. If you want to see parans, right-click on the map and check parans to turn those on. And you can also see descriptions if you click on these. And by hovering over them, you see which angles and planets made that crossing. Turn it back off, simply uncheck parans in that dropdown. To see relocated charts, we have it here on the top left. And to update that to a new location I have in mind, I'm going to hold down Option and a hard click. And now I can see it updated. To see that more obviously, I'm going to turn the angles on under my objects for dial 1. So holding down Option, clicking, and dragging across the map to see how the angles move in different locations and the houses shifting. If I want to see local spacelines, I just right-click and select local spacelines to turn those on. If I want to see them from another location, for example, I'll choose Dallas, Texas. I'm going to right-click on Dallas and then select Add a Place. So now there's this geo marker. And once I click that, the local spacelines are now originating from that location. And I can also click back on the house so that the lines are originating from there once more. To remove the local spacelines and any places you've added, right-click, delete all places, right-click, uncheck local spacelines. If you want to see aspect lines, right-click on the map and go down to Other Settings. Right here, all you have to do is check the box for aspects, and it may be kind of overwhelming to see a ton of those at once, so you can control if you want to see sextiles, squares, trines, oppositions only, and also by angle. And when you're done, simply uncheck. You also might want to see midpoints on here. I've added these as an extra object, and in another video I go over how to do that yourself as well. So once you've added those, you just right-click on the map and you check Use Extra Objects. And then simply uncheck when you're done viewing those. So lastly, you might want to do Cyclocartography on here. With the ACG configuration, the second dial is automatically set up for progressions for the inner planets, and the third for transits on the outer planets. So I'm going to go to the drop-down and select progression, and for the third one, transit. If I want to double check the objects for them, for example, dial 2 objects, I can see they are the inner planets and they are color-coded separately so I can identify them more easily. As well as for the third, dial 3 objects for transits, they are all the outer planets. To see these lines move across time, we then go to Time Dynamics. To get to Time Dynamics, we can navigate by going to Control, Time Dynamics, or the clock icon over here, or on the far right. So now we have this pop-up showing the date and time. In the case that it's actually on the first dial, which would be your natal chart, watch out for that. But no worries if you accidentally change the date of your natal chart. There's a little back arrow to recover original data, reset everything you just did in the time changes. So make sure you're on dial 2, which is set to progressions. You also want to check that this button is red, that it's active, so that from dial 2 and all dials after that, the time changes that you make will be reflected in them. So we can see here I can change time by going back or forward in seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, and years. I can control how many months, how many years. In this case, I'll just go with 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day. And I can press play for automatic animation as well to see that happen. And then click it again to stop it. If I want to reset back to the current time, I just click this button here with the clock and the green back arrow. Hope you found that helpful. And if you would like a deeper dive, check out my other video where we have a more in-depth getting started sort of walkthrough on customization and other settings to make the most of Zeus.